Hello everyone, Switch Double here. I decided to do another video about Pear Butter. In fact, this was actually introduced to me by my girlfriend. She had found this potential of a story, or at least a potential as a theory. She asked me, what about Pear Butter and Aunt Orange? Could have been cousins or siblings, unlike sisters. I don't know for myself. But ever since we was introduced to Aunt Orange in the episode The Cutemark Chronicles, we don't know much about as her characters. She was never seen in the episode The Perfect Pair, or never hasn't been. She was even mentioned in that episode. So let's say, for assume, if they were cousins, that Aunt Orange was very much alike, living in Manhattan with a with her family, and that they were cousins with Pear Butter, and that Pear Butter and Aunt Orange remained very much close relationship, at least in close contact, because in the episode in the Cutie Mark Chronicles, we see that Applejack is sent to her aunt and uncle Orange in Manhattan to spend time. So that means if Peanut Butter and Aunt Orange are cousins, they still remained in very much contact, despite after what happened to her father. Grandparent just abandoned her in Ponyville after she just got married with Brightneck. Despite her father moving away so far away from her and perhaps the rest of the Pear family. But the only seems the only other family line or the only family tree that still remains very in contact with Peanut Butter is, in fact, Aunt Orange and her family. I don't think they, despite what happened, her family's just leaving, and that after that she just married with an apple, a bright man, for example. I don't think or Aunt Orange family would not discard this as a bad thing, because they could see how happy Peanut Butter are. And Aunt Orange, I don't think so. I don't think that she would be much against into this entire relationship. Because if she was against the relationship, Peer Butter's, Peer Butter's marriage with Brightmac, Applejack would not been sent to her aunt Orange in Manhattan in the episode The Cutemark Chronicles. But that is to assume if they were cousins. That if they were cousins, it's most likely that Aunt Orange had always lived in Manhattan with her family. But let's assume that they were sisters. Here's another part though. If they were sisters, where would they live otherwise? I mean, for example, if they were sisters, we know that their grandparent and the rest of the Pear family left Ponyville and moved to Vancouver to start their new business, or at least to expand their business. But how then for more question? So if her family moved to Vancouver, how did Aunt Orange end up in Manhattan? Well, that's more likely more to answer questions. Knowing that, but there are some questions that might not be possible for that they to be sisters. For example, even if that Aunt Orange grew up, lived in Vancouver with her family, and one day when she was old enough, she decided to move from Vancouver to perhaps Manhattan, and sometimes perhaps after that she moved to Vancouver, she got married, and she even some point between there, she reached out to her sister Pear Butter, who was living in Ponyville with her own family by then. and they both of them had decided to restart their relationship as sisters, as family. And it is possible if that it is possible that after they had restored their friendship again as a family between Pear Butter and Aunt Orange, and that at some point between there, it is possible Grandpa became aware of it, and he refused to have possible anything to do with Aunt Orange after that. Just be considered from one point. He refused to have anything to do with Pear Butter after she got married and chose to be an apple rather than be a pear. So there is a possibility that after that Grandpa finds out that Aunt Orange had reached out to Pear Butter and they had started talking again to be part of the family, and that it is possible from that Grandpa could have found out about that. And he has no choice, or he refused to have any sort of contact with Aunt Orange afterwards because he felt betrayed of his own other second daughter after he did that. But that is also the one way that he would find out what happened to Pear Butter after she passed away, and also knows about the Apple siblings, Applejack, Big Mac, and Apple. It is possible from that point. It is possible if Apple Blooms, Pear Butter, and Aunt Orange were sisters. It is possible Aunt Orange may have been known about her nieces and nephew, and that somehow she had related this information to Grandpa, hoping maybe this information that he has grandchildren, that he will reach out to Pear Butter to work their relationship again and ask for forgiveness. Maybe that was the reason why suddenly his grandpa was aware about the Apple siblings, but never came out to reach out to them before their parents passed away. But that also means that ever since he's moved back to Pony, he regretted deeply that he never reached out after what he heard about his daughter, after that she was having a family of her own. But let's assume from that Grandpa was aware that he had grandchildren passed after Aunt Orange had informed him about this. And after that he found out about this. He refused to have any contact with Aunt Orange even after this. He felt like he felt betrayed that his other daughter had been talking to her younger sister. But we don't know for sure. That is at least one part of the theory that I believe. So this is a two parts of this theory, how they could be either been cousins or sisters. Which do you prefer to be as possible? If they were cousins or they were sisters? If I were to say, I would prefer if they were cousins. Even though we never have any other mention about or seen in the episode The Perfect Pair. But if Grandpa was aware that he had grandchildren, it must have been from Aunt Orange. If Aunt Orange was Grandpa's second daughter, it is possible she had been talking to Pear Butter after that she moved to Maidhaddon and perhaps even got married at some point there, and that she reached out to Pear Butter to repair their relationship as to be sisters again, and that she later at some point get aware that she has two nieces and a nephew, and that she must have somehow reached out to her father in Vancouver, telling him that now he has three grandchildren, and that Pear Butter and Aunt Orange had been working or still had been talking again as sisters, as they should be, as a family. At a point from that, maybe that one when suddenly, when Grandpa decide to have any sort of contact with either Aunt Orange or Pear Butter, even they'll still be complete aware that he had grandchildren. But as he stated himself, he was really upset that he didn't have to reach out to his that he never came back sooner. Never seen his daughter for the last time, and he was even there when his grandchildren was growing up. I cannot even imagine that for how that felt for him. But anyways, as my personal belief, I believe grandparents, sorry, that Pear Butter and Aunt Orange is in fact cousins. But that is up to my belief. But if you have your own opinion or your thoughts about this, or if were you say if they were preferred to be cousins or sisters, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, leave a comment, and as always, this is Switch W over and out.